little bit more.
So let's talk a bit about what happens if Superstars wins. The important thing is, with Lag Force, they are tied in head-to-head. They have each beaten each other, Superstars and Lag Force, once in phase number 2. So then what it comes down to is Superstars ties Lag Force in the victories. They'll both have had 3 victories. If neither one can get an upset over any of the teams that they have left, and both have already played each other, and Lag Force has not played Even in Death. So Superstars wants to, 1, cheer a lot for Even in Death to beat Lag Force, because that's a way that Lag Force could get the next win. And then 2, it would start coming down to games. And we would be, man, it would be just so close. So that's why we say Lag Force not being able to take any games off of Roll20 yesterday, they're going to be hoping they can do so versus Freedom today.
They might. It's more than a hope, I feel like. It might be a need a bit more than anything here. So what do we have left into the into the map pools? We've got Dragon and I forgot my other and Curse were banned. In our first map, we've already gone through Sky, we've already gone through Tomb, and we've gone through BOE.
Superstars are likely going to pick the map unless we see a choice of Battleground choice for Even in Death, and then I could see us going to Braxis. We have both Cho'Gall teams here. Who gets the Cho'Gall, guys?
Who gets the Cho'Gall? You know, Even in Death put up a bigger argument for it, I feel like, than the SS Hosty, but I'll never forget the SS Hosty. It just, you know, it just went down too soon, you know? That's all we got to say about that boat.
Let's take a look at the global progress bar for our HGC cheer program, where we're getting set up for Game 4, potentially the last game of the series. We're almost at, oh, look at that jump, almost at 18 million. You guys rock. Getting closer and closer, that Arcane Chaos Lizard. Dread would like you to keep going for the Deadly Chaos Lizard.
Yeah, for the Deadly Chaos Lizard. That's all I am here for. You know, if we memed the R into Deadly into all the world of Blizzard, though I respect your creativity, I just want you to let you know there are a lot of Deadly and then insert something random here. If you've ever played World of Warcraft, about half the gear has the word Dread in it at some point. So you got a lot of work to cover here, you know, a lot of ground.
What about the Dreadly Kittens?
The Dreadly Kittens, they're probably my favorite, actually. Dreadly Kittens are really the go-to. You know, SEA representing there.
Obviously, Dread's favorite team in the entire world. Let's do it. Game 4 will take place on Warhead Junction.
Let's get it going. A little bit weird here for Superstars to be taking us to Warhead Junction, but I'm a fan of it. At least we know we're going to find Even in Death a bit off guard, a little uncomfortable considering the map. But how clear are the wind conditions? Not as clear as you would want them to be for Superstars. If this is the double boss hyper focus in the game in 12 minutes we've seen of North America as of late on Warhead Junction, I feel like Superstars has got a really big advantage. If they get, you know, the Illidan has got to be a focal point here into the draft. If they struggle with that, I feel like you got to be like, this is a huge advantage for Even in Death. It's very long. It's going to come down to a team fight. And let's be real here, Even in Death is very much the better team fighting team as of this series. They have won over and over again what I would put as almost unwinnable team fights.
I'd also say that of the two teams, Even in Death trends toward already drafting a lot of the good early boss killing heroes. Like Greymane, they're already prioritizing that a lot. Illidan, we haven't really seen Superstars play Illidan since the swap of Erho over to the melee role. But Erho is playing a phenomenal Dahaka this series. So much so, I'm wondering if Even in Death are going to change up their ban, but then again, you give away Task Tracer, you don't want to do that on this map either.
I think if I'm Homicidal, considering the player, the roster, what we know of the group, I would much rather the wild venturing of Homicidal over into the Illidan and be willing to take that trade in the matchup rather than dealing with the Task Tracer pressure. It just feels like it's going to be a more reliable area to be able to, you know, get that damage output. And turns out it looks like we broke our draft. So in a few more seconds, we'll be getting into that, guys.
Yeah, we lost a player. We're going to make sure everybody is ready. Maybe someone needed a drink of water. Who knows?
I mean, you would be probably surprised at a lot of times, I think, what happens in between lobby making in teams, like the downtime. For my team in our house, a lot of the times, I was the guy sitting at the computer trying to be like, yeah, guys, we have a lobby, and everybody's sitting downstairs having a drink at the kitchen, hanging out, and just
chilling,
having a good time.
KO.
I'm sitting there trying to set up.
How dare you?
Yeah, KO. Seriously. I mean, I was always, you know, the old dad
Eating
who's like,
some
guys,
Funyuns.
can we? Oh, don't you dare! No, this is tread lightly, young lady.
Did you say dread lightly?
Tread lightly. Oh man.
Well, we will get back into draft for Warhead Junction shortly. We were talking about boss heroes. You were hoping for Homicidal to get Illidan.
Yeah, just to go into the Illidan, it's a safer route. Like, as long as they're comfortable still playing the Illidan, which obviously they have lower priority than they were willing to show in the past, as long as they feel comfortable with it, I would like that for them. It gives them boss control early game on a map where we know you can focus that. It is a soft counter into the laning mismatch that has been predictable for a limited hero pool player like Urho. It just seems the most logical, you know, area to kind of poke holes into the draft for superstars, and they need anything they can get. Already a game down.
Yeah, that was why I was wondering if Even in Death would go so far as to ban the Illidan, since their first pick position, or not Illidan, the Dahaka, ban that out. Yes, it leaves open a Genji or a Abathur maybe, but they know that Superstars has to ban Tassadar. Yes, they're thinking about it.
This is a clever... I hope this is not Arthas. I really hope they ban the Dahaka, because then... I don't know, it's a little bit weird. It then leads into this weird Abathur conundrum that comes up with, and, you know, you can make the conversation piece about, well, if Superstars, who's been winning the early game, ends up picking the Abathur, is that enough of a setback to be like, you know, Even in Death will hold their own? But essentially, the Dahaka ban would force the Tassadar into the, so the Task Racer is no longer incentivized, and the Abathur gets picked up while the Dahaka's banned out, and it's a win-win circumstance. Suddenly, Superstars would be on the back foot. The Arthas ban, then, for me, oh, they mixed it up. They go back to the Dahaka. So
loving it.
So now, Superstars should not ban Tassadar or Abathur. They actually leave both open, and they take whatever they're willing, whatever they can get into their 2-3. The reason that's not ideal is you deny the Tassadar for Even in Death if you're cleverly playing this. You don't go for the Abathur right away. You take the Tassadar, which decentralizes the synergy with all the other ones, and then you know it has to be an Illidan and an Abathur in their 2-3. Forcing the only 2 picks a team gets before the secondary ban phase when they're in the second slot. I don't know if anybody's looked at the draft balance of, you know, Heroes of the Storm, but one team does get a hero before the secondary ban phase that the other team doesn't, and that in fact is going to be first pick.
Also, you are suggesting or expecting that Superstars would take Illidan. I don't think they would.
I don't know if they necessarily would either.
And especially now they're not going to.
But they left open the Abathur, the Tassadar and the Tracer. The Tracer was banned out, but the Abathur and the Tassadar are still available.
But Superstars are going to take both of those.
I mean, I would if I saw the Illidan on the other side of the table. I'm not wanting to deal with any of that. I'm going to start a ruckus. Because you're essentially...
All right. You get in there as an Archon with your symbiote. Let's go. 1v12.
Even in Death is calling me out.
Yeah.
If I am willing to take the bait, I have just essentially either, number one, I am not clever enough to come up with a solution throughout the secondary half of the draft, which, how this has already played out, I don't know if Superstars has the comfortability to flex that far into it. Or number two, I don't do it. Because it's pretty apparent that they already have a better game plan into the draft than I have. And if I have to take that and get a wild Sonya that's a weird hat target, I'll do it. I will, as long as I didn't give you what was essentially an unbeatable decision-making into the top half of the draft.
They'll get the Abathur, but they're going to get Arthas with it too, making sure that they don't get Arthas banned otherwise. Because I know they would have banned it if that were the case.
Synergistic and soft counter to the composition over to Even in Death. So maybe, you know, even if the Tassadar is picked up, you aren't locked in as like, this is legendary. But let's be real here. Tassadar Rhaegar rotation doesn't look too scary, or it doesn't look too shabby for Even in Death. You got to feel pretty satisfied having the Trinity, the original Trinity, I feel like, back together between Tassadar, Illidan, and the Rhaegar.
And as you said, now Even in Death knows that Superstars is going to play a little bit less than ham in the early game with their Abathur.
So they end up dropping the task. I think that is honestly pretty logical for them at that point in time, considering the deny of Superstars with their 1-2. And then they still take the consistency of the gray main, and we got ourselves a Rhaegar. You know, I'm flat out say it right now, I really hope we get a Tyrael from Even in Death. Into the Arthas Abathur composition, it's going to be a double Arthas. We talk about the sanctification counters and the double melee they've got. This could be a Death Ball dream composition, and more importantly, it caters to both playstyles, both early and late game Warhead Junction.
You have 2 really 3 fantastic heroes to try to take early bosses. You've got Boss Control with Holy Ground, with Sanctification of Tyrael 2. I would love that pick. Superstars bans Tassadar, so we won't have Tassadar with that. And making sure that the Cassia counter for what Even in Death has drafted so far is not available to Hosty.
You want to know a next level thought process? What if Superstars denies the Tyrael here? It not only does it synergize with the Arthas really well, but it would be just really, really scary with the Abathur hat. Both Arthas and Tyrael are really good warriors to have a hat. They synergize together as a duo, some of the highest damage output together, and it removes the soft counter and synergies over to Even in Death. Now, I know I'm going down the Tyrael rabbit hole here, but we also have to keep in mind Superstars is flexing, and they are playing with Daihu. So to put that on to Daihu's shoulders, a Tyrael, that feels like a bold move.
I think they're going to Chen.
You know, if you Chen, I can see where you're headed with that, but I feel like it's not as solid.
They did this before. They went Arthas Chen.
Yeah.
No, they did it!
Boom!
What a cool draft!
Love it, dude. Oh, man, that deny. So now the Kharazim, a little bit wonky. Deathball is without a doubt the intent here for the members of Superstars. Synergizes a little bit with the Abathur. Probably best in its role remaining when it comes to diving onto the boss. But it's not an Uther, which we have to keep in mind is still up in this draft. That was a double invuln opportunity, and it was neglected. So why Kharazim? This next hero has to be very squishy, synergize with an Abathur, be a melee to synergize with the Tyrael and Arthas, but be squishy enough that Palm was worth it over the Divine Shield. 0 people come to mind. Yeah, I know you looked at me like, go ahead, Dread, list that one character, and the answer is nope, got nothing for you.
Well, let's figure out these last 2 for Even in Death first.
I mean, at this point, what do you do with the frontliners? Take ETC, which is going to be pretty much the not optimal version of that.
Sonya.
And then the Sonya as the tank killer?
Wow.
That Sonya pick was infinite risk. Gilly, if this last pick is like something that doesn't get like a Tychus, like just doesn't get bodied by Illidan Sonya, I mean, I feel like Superstars has won the game.
What a draft.
I
can't even write it down. What? Why Kharazim over Uther with Malthael?
The world may never know.
You get 6 seconds. You're all the way through Tormented Souls.
Other than the ability to synergize with Abathur, Adrenal Overload, and take a boss levels 1 through 9 pretty well,
yeah.
I don't have an argument for Kharazim.
Yeah, it seems like it's boss.
Once it was picked up, I was just like, I don't know what we're going for here. There was no heroes on the other side still available. Keep in mind, Tracer was banned by Superstars.
Yep.
Normally, I'd be like, they're trying to deter the Trash Tracer. They're trying to get that squishy, you know, trade well into that with the Abathur hat. But there was nothing on the side of the draft for Even in Death to be like, that could be the reasoning. So boss has to be the only thing I can come up with.
I'm so pumped for this game. Superstars with the mind games. Even in Death with the mind games to start, but Superstars called it. They called the bluff. They're going into this with 2 games over the one of Even in Death. And very soon, we will see if we get to go all the way to Game 5 between these 2 teams. A lot on the line. We have talked about the Crucible, how important both of these teams need this victory. Superstars to tie wins with Lag Force, Even in Death, just to have a chance of catching back up. Let's get into game number 4 on Warhead Junction between Superstars and Even in Death.
Even in Death here in the blue has to be focused on trying to stop the early game being successful for Superstars. Superstars drafted an Abathur composition on Warhead Junction. You've got the Illidan Sonya Greymane, some of the highest early game damage output melees you can ask for. It is a must that Even in Death does not lose the race to 10 in this game, or they will lose this series.
And that is something that has not been successful for them in every single game of this series so far. Superstars always control the early game. It's why they were able to get the earliest victory on Battlefield of Eternity in the last game. But it's no more, as Battery power slides in. Yoda's already caught, but a wonderful route from Arthas saves him, and Illidan's the one who goes down.
I'm going to shout out to Urho there on that Tyrael, and they're not done. They're going to chase things right on through. Drune's not going to be thrown out to get the kill, but it's not needed. Daihu is the man who gets it. Heals coming out from Iacona. He's punching it in, and he finds himself the Sonya. Superstars takes the trade 3-0 with an Abathur composition. Gilly, this is absolutely horrific for Even in Death.
It is.
I mean, it is just flat terrible.
They got to make the comeback somewhere. And it just puts a lot more risk in things that they have to do. But they're going to have to keep fighting and fighting, brawling somewhere, trying to take some early structure, something. Use all of the mercenary heroes that they have to get some mercenary camps out and take out some early towers. We've got a Wolfheart build so far for Lutano playing the Greymane. So it's possible we could even get a Wizened Duelist build later on. Although after that first skirmish, maybe thinking the better of that. We'll have to see.
The laning has seemed to be controlled, I feel like, here from the members of Superstars after that first kill. But no major laning mismatch, I feel like, across the board. Even in Death is trying to stop the bleeding there on bottom with the 2-1-2. Sonya just dealing up with the Tyrael, but Tyrael's a placeholder, 1v1er. He just doesn't lose anything too hard. But Daihu without a Howling Blast. Yoda's going to come in here with the flank. Iacona's getting some punches in. A bit of split focused, as you can see the first proc of that Iron Fist going on to the support.
It's cool to see Superstars focus on that bottom lane because it was so pushed for Even in Death. Had they gotten that nuke and immediately used it on the towers, it could have started coming back into the game somehow. And now Superstars, with just the Tyrael, really, and the Abathur hat, and the fact that they had 4 ahead of Even in Death, were able to abuse that beautifully and are... They have not allowed Even in Death to get a single nuke out of the double nuke phase, and they're going to steal a camp.
This is very well done from Superstars. Even in Death here's got to be a bit scary. Lutano and friends, though, it's going to be a 3 versus 3. 2-man Howling Blast lands out from Daihu. That is a substitute, ladies and gentlemen, making the plays.
He's not done.
They're going to go. Iacona, what's this? He's got the punches.
He's got the nuke.
And now he wants out. He's going to get out there with a little bit of help from his friends.
All the while, up in the top lane, Sonya doing what she can to pressure this solo Abathur lane. Both of the nukes claimed. The benefit of winning that first engagement so handily for Superstars is they get both of the nukes. They will use them, at least one of them, to do some damage to this bottom lane.
But look at the collapse here. Even in Death is getting a full flank here to the members on bottom. Daihu's going to take the first knockback. Power slide still being preserved here. Howling Blast lands onto 2. The slide in, not going to be used. Battery holding on to it the entire duration there. It had to have been interrupted by the Howling Blast. Am I crazy? Was there a power? Apparently not. So he lives.
Yeah, they had to focus on Daihu because Iacona, although he's the one with the nuke, he's also the one who is able to dash out to his ally. So the focus was on Daihu. He's got his own slow. And then Iacona drops Earth Ally to make sure, look at the damage of Even in Death. It is all auto attack, and especially with the build that Greymane's going into now, fully committed with Eyes in the Dark. This is auto attack focus. We've got Whirlwind, that'll help some with the Sonya, but Earth Ally is going to get a lot done for Iacona, maybe even why we saw the Karazim pick.
Might be the reasoning for that pickup. Superstars is winning this early game. They have 4-0 in kills. They're winning when it comes to their structures, and now they're the first to start off the race onto these bosses. Even in Death, they know Battery is going to be the man who scouts this out, pushing away a couple Banelings, pushing away Superstars. The biggest thing here is not forcing the reset onto the boss quite yet, as he is still, you know, I don't know if I want to use the word scared, but he does like to kind of ostrich it out, even though that is a myth and not true. Ostriches don't bury their head underground. Our boss likes to do that. I don't know why I had to make it clear that that is a myth, but I felt like a dingus emitting a fake fact about an animal out in the real world.
But you know what does? That's a flamingo. They do that.
Do they really?
No.
Even in Death was able to deter the boss, even so much so that they're going to be the ones starting it up.
But a lot of people are missing. This has to be realized. Daihu's coming in to check. We're about a third of the way done.
The boss was revealed purely from the mine alone. Superstars knows. And now even in Death is going to be the ones that back out. How many other fake bird facts can we get done during one boss phase?
Well, robins actually spend their whole entire baby life on the ground. And then at some point, when their mothers come in, they actually just throw them up in the air. And if they can't fight, they execute them.
By the gravity, like by their own weight and falling to the ground and failure to flight, or because the mom just is cutthroat afterwards?
You don't want to know.
Wow, that is just disgusting.
All right, we got another bird fact in. Just as a nuke is picked up for even in Death, it's 1 out of the 4. Superstars almost have 10. This is dangerous.
Dangerous. Even in Death, they seem to, you know, feel the same way about this situation. They want nothing to do with it. They're going to nope right ahead here towards this middle lane. Urho starting up the channel now as he has obtained his heroics. Talking about heroics, nobody has taken anything different. We've got the Saints, Ultimate Evolution, Tormented Souls, Army of the Dead, and with the heroics, Superstars starts the boss. The biggest thing is the fact that even in Death is able to start this top boss, and Superstars will not be able to contest whatsoever. That is a very necessary moment for even in Death if they're going to extend the lifespan of this game and series.
And even without having heroic abilities and Superstars being so close, even in Death in the danger zone, so to speak, even in Death still got 2 out of the 4 nukes. So it really was not the worst phase for them. They didn't lose anybody. They got 2 nukes and they got a boss. The only problem here is that there's still 2 nukes for Superstars and a boss all in the bottom lane.
But Urho was willing to burn a nuke that was going to be completely uncontested, purely on only the front wall, going for that bonus damage here. Granted, I forget there's the boss behind it, so maybe that makes a bit more sense. Well, it could have been a misplay, but now it's just actually calculated. Mosh Pit's going to be the calculated one. Pre-cleanse used. It's going to get full value. Sanctification drop. The members of Superstars all clumping. Yoda is going to pop his Tormented Souls, but Arthas is the first to fall. How? Ends up going down before he gets off an Ancestral Healing. Even in Death, cannot lose more members, but they are going to do so. 2 are down. Homicidal looking for a rebuttal, but if they lose him, they could lose the game.
He still takes out Tyrael, but here comes Tyrael with the explosion, and even before it goes off, Illidan is down. Battery low, power slides in, teleport. On top of the boss. Yoda's got the mark on him.
Stepping in, baby, and now the core, you know, Malthael realizing his passive doesn't work on structures, wants nothing to do with this. Iacona has been left for dead, but I'm unable to get the dismount within time. The hat used. Superstars gets a keep, they get out, and they get that 13 talent tier.
Only a single fort taken out because of the boss, because of the top pressure for even in Death. And meanwhile, a keep is already exposed. 8 minutes and 30 seconds into the game. There is the game clock. And it is, if it could be glowing bright red for even in Death, then it would be. Because now that bottom lane is a gigantic problem for them. And it's all coming down to that bottom boss.
The bottom boss, cycling of the bosses on Warhead is a common ritual that we experience. But again, as you would say, as you've displayed, even in Death, it's a different tale for them than it is for Superstars. Yoda caught out. It's going to drop the Wrath of the Berserker from Frozen X. A lot of poison, or excuse me, no poison spear picked up from him. I thought for a moment I saw him get that dot out. But Yoda, heal away. He got the tap. We've got 2 nukes online. And even in Death still need their 13s. They are not going to get this, at least not for the first Warhead, but they still want this fight.
Yeah, nothing up in the top. They are willing to duke it out over both of the nukes. Seeing Tyrael up in the top. And Illidan down in the bottom is a 4v4, but we've got the Hunt as a possibility. Cursed Bullet catching after Daihu is thrown back. Fairly low. Moshpit in the back. Yoda zoning away. Howl Lutano beautifully, but the Hunt comes in. Palm drops down, not procced.
But Army of the Dead is now going to gain a lot of value there as they are now on full pursuit. How's going to be the man going down first? Sanctification time. Frozen X is the focus. He's going to go down. Homicidal falls to the hands of Urho. And with that shielding, Urho will drop a nuke. Lutano with beautiful punishment there. But the passive seals the deal. Warhead here can be channeled by Iacona. Mid Warhead will be picked up by Arthas. 2 Warheads for Superstars as they will get this mid fort and now the 16 talent here.
1 minute and 30 seconds left until the bottom boss is back, and there are 2 nukes for Superstars. They're getting so close to having a talent tier advantage for a long time over Even in Death. They're going to keep this bottom lane pushed thanks to the mercenaries. That helps them set up.
All right. If I'm Even in Death, I know that I have no opportunity to teamfight my opponent when they have a 16 talent tier. I don't want to. We know that a boss on bottom is going to spawn in 56 seconds, and with the double Warhead, that is not necessarily lethal, but it's closing in that range, where Superstars, especially with the Tyrael, with the Arthas, they have a lot of opportunities to be able to end the game. What do I do to be able to stop this? I would like to see Even in Death focus pushing out in that area, mainly over that maybe the camp on the side of Superstars, waiting for somebody to overextend. They have to, because otherwise that boss will be the thing that can set them behind. And if it isn't for the game, as the Holy Ground spits away battery, no power slide. Cow's down.
No HGC for 30, doesn't have stage dive, so he would have to run all the way back to this point. Even in Death, not seeing Superstars, but also knowing that one was already caught by a party bush. They cannot allow another one to. They're trying to throw out abilities to figure out where the heck everyone from Superstars is.
The boss.
Circling around.
It's already down to 50. Homicidal and friends, they're going to go for this. Wrath of the Berserker is going to be the first to pop. They all in onto Iacona. He drops the Divine Palm on himself, but he does not go off.
Frozen X has already used Wrath of Berserker. He's getting chunked down. And
the boss
for healing will allow him to heal up.
The nukes!
The clone has been dealt with. The nukes go down. Iacona low in the back. Nobody wants to deal with the nukes, so the boss has been taken by Superstars.
But that removes lethal onto the core. Iacona gets the cut on out. He holds his own. Yoda doing a lot of damage. Sanctification is going down. Yoda locks in Homicidal, and the members of Even in Death are on absolute full retreat.
Nests stopping them too. A lot of people not mounted. Battery and Lutano. Iacona jumps in. Lutano's taking a ton of damage. They're forced to use Mosh now. Lutano dives through. It does bring down Karazim, but How has been caught.
How has been caught, and he has been removed of this world. Superstars now 12 minutes into this game with the Warhead, with the boss, are going to start the core and end this series. Superstars, a very impressive start to this series, and more importantly, an impressive end as they are taking this 4th game.
Superstars, with a victory over Even in Death, allows themselves to tie up in wins yet again with Lag Force, which makes the next spot for Crucible very close. And obviously, we don't have a secured, guaranteed spot in the Crucible yet, but barring any upsets for Even in Death, it is very likely that they will be defending their place in the HGC.
Holding, their own is going to be a difficult thing, but we also have to realize that they are very much a different team than they were, getting into HGC. If they find themselves in that Crucible 100% locked in, that I do expect that at least if they end up going down, the team that is in that position very much earned it, because they have grown as a roster. Even in Death has displayed that they are HGC worthy. Just relative to the rest, they find themselves sadly in that 7-8. Doesn't matter what your name is, you got to be able to hold your own there if you are going to survive.
And for Superstars, both of these series, remember, they played with the sub. They played with Daihu. They unfortunately lost to Lag Force, but it was extremely close, and then had this great victory over Even in Death. But we have to wonder, what will the team look like as they bring Srey back in? Because they still have plenty of series to play. All but 2 of their series have been played so far in this part. And if it's coming down to games, and they need all the games that they can get, we have to hope that they have had just as much practice with both Warrior players so that they can, do the thing they need to do. They need to be able to win games.
And being able to, win this by no means, just because it pushes them over the edge of, more solidifies the loser, it doesn't mean that the winner is out of it by any means. We also have to consider Lag F's momentum and that they're gaining. Superstars, by no means you go, we won the series, we're out of the Crucible, we don't have to be afraid of anything. Lag F might be able to get those upsets we're talking about. It's hard to gauge how successful they are going to be against some other teams here. And so Superstars got to be happy, but also don't put the cart before the horse here.
Yeah, it is bittersweet, that victory, because they get it. They absolutely needed that victory, but it's nowhere near done for part 2 for the end of this phase. And as we said, Lag Force and Even in Death haven't played yet. So now, even though Superstars got the win over Even in Death, they are Superstars are Even in Death's biggest fans at this point.
They very much are. And, you know, just thinking about that series, if we do end up seeing Even in Death versus Lag Force, I feel like it's unfair because anything could happen in that amount of time. The changes, and again, more the consistency that we are always talking about when looking towards North America, the lack thereof maybe. It's going to be hard to gauge it. It's more who's the better team on that day, you know? And Even in Death very much want to say that it's going to be them. And maybe if they hold their own next split, you know, going forward, they'll be able to not even have to be in Crucible range, get that kind of growth.
Well, the team that was better today were Superstars, so let's check in with Airho now. Hey, Airho, congratulations. This was a super important victory for you guys, so how are you guys feeling now that you're able to get that win?
Good. We felt pretty confident going into these games against Even in Death. We had a little bit of a draft hiccup one game on Tomb, but we were able to solidify the obviously the last game and the Battlefield game, so.
Well, now you guys are tied in wins with Lag Force, and unfortunately losing to them puts it to where every game matters for both of you guys. So what are you guys going to be doing to ensure that you're still able to take some games off of teams higher up in the standings to give you a chance of making it out of the Crucible?
Keep on the grind. I think our team's kind of had a renewed vigor. Sray is coming back next week as well, so we're going to surprise some of the teams coming up, especially Roll20. So we've got some stuff in store for them. So hopefully we can take some games off of them. Maybe even win.
You want to take that one?
That's what I was going to talk about.
Yeah?
It's just more with Sray coming back. We were just questioning, you know, what do you guys look like whenever he comes back online? So just, more, can you give us your perspective? Are you just expecting that it's going to be new and improved, brand new, or what?
I think we're most likely going to put me back to tank. We're going to get me off this role, and Stray's going to probably move back to a solo lane or a range role then for that adjustment. So we'll see how that goes. I think I'm much more comfortable in the tank role. I've been trying hard to adjust to this role, but not liking it so far, and I think the team thinks we should go a different direction for next week.
Well, I can tell you our praise today has been pretty high for you and the Dahaka. Yeah. So, you know, it didn't look like you just learned the role.
I have a lot of Dahaka experience, and most of the offlaners are tanks anyway, so it's not so much learning the characters, it's so much learning the position and rotations with and the lane matchups with the 1v1. So
understandable.
Well, we're looking forward to getting to see you guys play versus Roll20 tomorrow. Any other thoughts you can give up to us on that matchup?
No, I'm going to keep everything secret.
All right. That seems fair. Shout-outs before you go?
Shout out to my team. We worked really hard this week. We've been staying positive despite not having the success that we've initially wanted. So I can't wait to play tomorrow.
Great, congratulations.
Oh, it's also my birthday today. Happy birthday, me.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Airho.
I forgot to mention that. Yeah, so thank you, team, for getting me a win on my birthday. Big props to them.
Well, happy birthday. Go and celebrate, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Have a good one. Victory
for Airho and the rest of Superstars, and we maybe get to see some super secret strategies versus Roll20 tomorrow from Superstars. But we're not done. Up next, we're going to have Lag Force versus, who are they?